Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Thursday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by our friends at the Whistler Golf Club, opening May the 9th. WhistlerGolf.com for more information. We're joined now by Farhan Lalji, TSN, NFL Draft going on later today. Tonight, as a matter of fact, in Green Bay. You got Abbotsford, the Canucks playing against Tucson, Game 2, up 1-0. And Whitecaps against Messi and Inter Miami tonight. BC plays. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually going. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not necessarily a huge soccer guy, but when I got asked to cover this one, I'm like, all right, let's hope the guy plays. I'm there. 54,000 fans. Should be fun.
You sound excited.
I am. It's what could be better? I'm going to go watch my daughter's track meet. You ever watch 7th grade girls track, Donnie?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Your lovely wife was a track star, so was a track star, so I'm sure that's a big part of your family life. And then I'm going right from there to Messi.
Yeah.
So it should be fun for sure. Look, whenever the stadium's full and the atmosphere is electric, does the sport truly matter?
Yeah. Who's the biggest athlete? We talked with Bob Lenarduzzi about this. The biggest athlete that you've witnessed play.
Bob Lenarduzzi.
Well, who's number 2 then?
Well, there you go. Look, there's so many, right? I mean, when you get a chance to cover the NFL and you get a chance to cover some of the greats, whether it be, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady before, or Patrick Mahomes today, or, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and LeBron and Usain Bolt might be at the top of the list, right? Having done a few Olympics and been a part of the 2012 Olympic broadcast crew specifically for track and field. So that was a big one, right? That's up there with all of them for sure.
NFL draft today. We're gonna talk hockey in a bit here, Farhan, but football. NFL draft starts today. Ross Tucker, we had him on the show yesterday. He says that Colorado's Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball, is the best college football player he's ever seen. Would you agree with that, or at the very least, would you understand where Ross is coming from?
Yeah, I get it. And I say that because he's legitimately dominant on both sides of the ball. And there certainly is a debate about where this guy plays and whether or not he could play that way in the NFL. And he is certainly lobbying to be that guy. Now, I think that if it's me, I make him a legitimate lockdown number 1 corner and then try to create packages for him on offense and kind of see where that goes from there. But I have no doubt in thinking that he could potentially, do both at a high level in the league. So he's an incredibly talented guy. And, but it just depends on what you view as dominant. Now, anybody that plays more than 100 snaps a game, that's dominant, but it's dominant for his endurance and his ability to play both at a high level. But you look at this receiver, Jeremiah Smith, who in my opinion from Ohio State, he's got a chance to be the best college receiver of all time because he's basically an NFL receiver playing college, right? Like the day he walked in as an 18-year-old freshman, he was a full grown-ass man. And now imagine what he's going to do for 2 more years at the collegiate level where he's just going to toy with it. But I think he's pretty good too.
Canadians in the NFL draft. I know UBC had a couple of years ago. Curtis Rourke, Nathan Rourke's brother. Is he going in the draft and where?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a late round selection. And, I can't sit here and tell you exactly what team. There's been some teams that he's been linked to, whether it's been teams like Green Bay and the Rams at one point. People were suggesting that he'd be a successor to Matt Stafford or somebody who can understudy for a while. And I don't know that necessarily any team's going to bring him in thinking he's a couple of years away from being a starter. And I do think that Curtis has the ability to play at that level, but I do think that he's kind of been hurt a little bit by just not having an offseason draft process where you don't get to go to the combine, you don't get to have a pro day, and you don't get to throw in front of scouts. I think he's a guy that people would have fallen in love with had that happened. And I think he even had a chance to be like a 3rd or 4th round pick if he'd had that. Now I think maybe a 6th or 7th round pick is probably going to be a bit more likely, but he's going to have a few years in the NFL. There's no doubt.
All right, over the Canucks, we wait patiently to see what's going to happen with Rick Tocchet. Still no word. Does he stay? Does he go? We're anxiously waiting. What have you heard on Tocchet?
Well, I'm waiting. I'm refreshing your Twitter account by the minute, Rick.
What are you talking about? There's nothing going on. It's quiet.
Well, I know, but he's supposed to fly back today, right?
Yeah.
So that was originally his plan. He went back to Vegas, which is why he did his media availability first before Alvin and Rutherford. He wanted to get going and get back to Vegas really quickly. And his plan originally had been to come back today. So I assume that's happening. Is there a press conference tomorrow? Who knows, right? Like nothing to indicate that at this point. But the longer it goes, the more nervous you've got to be. He did say at his availability, of course you want to be back, but you want to go through the process and check all those boxes. Rutherford and Alvin had the right things to say. They certainly want him back. But there's a lot of other options out there right now, and Rutherford's words were interesting to me when he said, you don't want to have a guy here whose mind might be elsewhere, right? So you wonder what he meant by that, right? And you don't want to read too much into it, but he wasn't just talking about his own contractual situation or the situation in Vancouver when he said mind elsewhere, right? Presumably with another team. So, we'll see what happens. But the longer it goes without news coming, the more you've got to think this could be headed in the wrong direction. And if you're a Canuck fan wondering about how that impacts Quinn Hughes, that would make me really, really nervous.
I don't know how you feel about this, but should Canuck fans be confident in Elias Pettison doing something significant fitness-wise in the offseason, given the past?
I think he'll prepare at a much higher level. I really do. I think there was some embarrassment that came with what happened last year. I know he wanted to suggest that, the knee prevented how he trained. Well, you still could be in a certain level of cardio shape. You still could work on your upper body strength and your core strength, even if you've got a level of knee tendonitis, so that you're not getting knocked down all the time. Like I think that was an excuse for a portion of it. I don't think it excuses all of the lack of preparation. So I do think there's some shame that has gone on in the last 9 months, and a lot of drama and everything like that. So I don't think he wants that to be a storyline next year. He's going to do everything he can to find the best of himself, but does it result in a 100-point season again for Pettersson? I'm not sure, right? I really believe that we've seen a long sample size where this player has forgotten how to attempt to be a dominant player. We'll see if he gets it back, but I do think he'll train at a better level this offseason than what we've seen before.
My daughter was pretty good at track as well, and I've got a good story that I can't say on the air. One day off the air.
Well, why'd you bring it up?
Well, it's like a
my wife does that. I hate when my wife does that.
It's like
she'll start a story and then stop. I can't tell you.
It's a teaser just for you for the next time we meet face to face. There you go.
All right,
buddy. Appreciate it.
That's it.
That's it.
All?
Okay. Well, how about this?
What do you want? A 40-minute segment?
Yes, that's what you're paying me for.
You know what? Now that you mention it, we're paying you a lot. I'm going to throw one more in here. Do you believe in Andrej Kuzmenko? Rick wants him to come back to the Canucks.
No.
Well, I'm really impressed, and I'm happy for him, right? Because he took a certain level of I don't want to say abuse, but I think we all knew where the shortcomings were in his game, and it was pretty evident for any fan to see that this guy wasn't necessarily a functional player in his own end of the ice, and then goes to Calgary and has a little bit of a spurt there, and then that kind of goes off the rails, and now he's in the midst of it in LA, and now you're doing it in the playoffs, and he is playing better defensively. He's playing better in his own end. Now, can he commit to being that guy for 82 games? They haven't had that in LA yet with him, so we'll see. But look, this is a guy that was so much fun to be around and just talk to and totally engaging. I hope he figures it out. I hope he has success, and I hope he can stick in the NHL, so it's fun to watch. And when you do it to the Oilers, it's never a bad thing, is it, Donnie?
Yep. Okay, that's it, Farhan. We thank you for this. Appreciate it.
Before you get in more trouble. All right. Are you coming to the soccer game tonight?
I won't be because there's so much going on. I'll be in front of the television in the man cave. But you can look forward to that story that I was telling you about next time.
Can't wait. I cannot wait. All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.